Good morning, sir.
This is not secondary.
We are assigned and have.
Okay, so today we will look at capital, cost of capital. Last week we covered capital structure of the company.
Yes.
And what we say as a recap is that capital structure is basically a mix of sources of funds for a company.
Yes.
So the sources of funds for a company are either owners' funds or borrowed funds. Owners' funds come in different formats, in different sources, and the major ones are common stock, preferred stock, retained earnings, and surpluses. Those are the categories of sources of funds from owners. And that's what we call equity. Then the second category is debt financing. And on debt financing, what we covered was that debt financing comes in form of loans, short-term or long-term, in terms of lines of credit, and lastly, bonds. Debentures and bonds are the same thing. Yeah. Only that the debenture is without collateral. Now, in each of those sources of funding, there are mixtures. The company can decide what kind of mixture it wants, what kind of mixture it wants within the debt financing, what kind of mixture it wants within equity financing. Okay, so that's what we discussed last week. Now, that capital comes with a cost to the company. Now, let's look at it this way. Why do we attach a cost to money, a cost to finances? So, for example, you have money and you are keeping it in your house. Does it cost you anything?
No.
It does.
Yes.
You may think that keeping that money in your house doesn't cost you anything. But what you are not looking at is that that money can make you money. Yes. Yes, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can I help you?
Sure.
You are being recorded.
How can we briefing? Yes, let me. Oh,
Yeah, just go outside and discuss with Frank whatever issues you have, so we can have our peace.
anything that
Yeah, so the cost to the money you are keeping in your house is what you are losing by not making money out of that money. That's the cost. You may not realize, but sometimes you don't realize. But if you have some money idle somewhere, you may think it doesn't cost you anything to keep it, but the cost is what you are losing by not making money with it. So that's one. When you are investing, you get a return. If you are investing, you are going to get a return, and that return represents a cost when you are not investing it. Okay. The other concept that we should have in mind before we proceed to determining what are the costs of capital is that, let me give you an example of a situation where you have money and you want to buy something or to spend it on something. Supposing you have two choices. That money can buy you a new phone, or if you don't have a phone, so you want, that money can buy you a phone, or that money can buy you a laptop. Okay? So you have, let's say, 150,000, or let's say 200,000. 20,000 you can buy a nice phone, or you can buy a laptop. If you decide to buy a laptop, it means you will not buy a phone. If you buy a phone, it means you will not buy the laptop. Now, supposing you have decided that I will buy a laptop, so you start enjoying the services of the laptop, but you have missed what you could have enjoyed if you use that money to buy a phone. That money for you could have given you an opportunity to buy a phone and go friends. You had that opportunity, but you decided to buy a laptop. So buying a laptop has costed you the opportunity to buy a phone. Buying a laptop has an opportunity cost for you in terms of buying a phone. So, whatever decisions you make in life, just know that this time you have spent on a particular thing is the time you have lost that you could have spent on another. So there's always what we call opportunity costs. So for example, if you have money and you could have opened a business with that money and make some profit on your business, instead of doing that, you have decided that, no, I will just buy some ownership in somebody else's business. So you go and buy shares in Airtel, for example. That money, which was enough for you to start a business, you have decided that no, you will not start a business, you will just go and buy shares. It means there is an opportunity cost for you there that you could have used that money to start a business. Buying shares has costed you the opportunity to start a business. So now, we should always be comparing where you could have gained most. When you invest in something and not in the other, the cost of your capital is what you get from those decisions you made. So we should be very clear about this because we will use it later. These concepts are very important because we will use them later in our discussion. So for example, the opportunity cost of capital for investment in a company's assets is actually the discount rate or the risk that associated with those projects. Somebody said that you invest and sometimes you may not really make money. That's the risk. Now, these costs have to be looked at in two different formats. One, the cost of the investor, the cost of capital to the investor, and the cost of the capital to the company. The cost of capital to the company and the cost of don't disturb others.
Okay, sorry.
It's either you are looking at the investor point of view or the company point of view. So, for example, let me give you an example of if you go for debt finance, you go and borrow. The one who is lending you money, what is he benefiting? The interest. What about the company? What is the company paying? What is the cost of the company for taking a loan from you? What is the cost to the company for taking a loan from you?
The interest that we have paid.
Okay. So the interest there is the cost of that borrowed capital. Okay? It is a cost to the company, but it is a return to the lender. So which means the cost of capital to both of you is that interest. The one who is lending the money to you, that interest is a return, is a benefit of letting you use his money. If he didn't, he would lose that interest. If he decided just to keep that money, he would lose that interest. That would be the cost of not using that money, of not lending out that money. That would be the cost to the lender. It comes in as a return, as an investment return to him. For the company, that use of resources which are not theirs costs them money, and that money, for example, if it is borrowed funds, is the interest that they pay. So whether you're talking about the expense that the company has to handle, or whether you're talking about the return, in whatever angle you are looking at it, is the cost of capital. Are we clear? Mm-hmm. So it depends on where you are, which side you are. We can still talk about the cost of capital as a return or an expense. Because, for example, in that scenario, I gave you a loan, they will be equal to each other. The cost of the company, the cost to the company, and the return to the lender is the same. They will equal. Now, for the company, the issues are slightly complex in the sense that For example, the owners of the company. The owners of the company, they want a return on their capital. Now, that return they want, as we have discussed before, it comes in a form of dividends. Okay? It comes in a form of dividends. Now, we should also realize that the return that the shareholders want also depends on the investment decision of the company that they have set up. So which means the financial managers in that company have to make sure that they get enough return on their investment decisions so that they can be able to cover the investors' return. The investors' return in this case is the owners of the company. So for example, they have this capital, funds, and they are deciding to expand the business. They have to be very sure that the business will have the return greater than the cost of the capital. I will get greater than the cost of it. Otherwise, they will not be able to say this. You remember when we were calculating last week, we were calculating the recovery ratio. Can you look it up and tell me what I told you about the recovery ratio? What did I say?
Yes, E.
That earnings have to be what? What kind of multiplier effect we have to get for us to decide to go and borrow money?
Earnings must be able to cover your interest payments.
Earnings must cover the interest repayments in multiple times. Not just equal. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to go for that kind of venture. If you go and borrow money, make sure that whatever you are going to do with that money, the earnings, the returns must be maybe 2, 3, 10 times the interest that you are paying on that debt. So we are using that ratio to guide your investment decisions. It's the same thing whether you are using owner's funds. The investment decisions that the director, the finance director or the finance department of your company must evaluate the returns on whatever they want to do with these owner's funds. That the returns will be able to cover the cost of those funds. And we will do some examples of how you can calculate the cost of equity and how you can calculate the cost of debt. So the cost of capital guides you on determining what kind of return you can accept. So as I said, in economics and accounting, the cost of companies' funds, the cost of your capital structure, we can look at it from the investor's point of view, is actually the required rate of return on the company's existing securities. From the investor's point of view, is the required rate of return on a portfolio of the company's existing securities. That's what I was exactly saying just a few minutes ago. So it refers to the cost of funds that the business is using.
What's the definition of cost of capital?
It refers to the cost of funds used for financing a business. Okay? I hope we are clear on that. You want me to repeat? It refers to the cost of funds used for financing a business. Funds used for financing a business. And last week we discussed those financing, how businesses are financed. Now, why is cost of capital important? Why is it important in a business? What we know is, that is very clear and it's a fact, is that the return earned on assets depends on the risks associated with those assets. The return earned on assets depends on the risk associated with those assets. The return, the benefit, the return earned on assets. We also established the fact that the return to an investor is the same as the cost to the firm. We just established that. I explained that. Yes, is the same. The return on investors is the same as the cost to the firm. Remember the example I gave of a company that goes to borrow money, the lender is interest, the company pays interest. So the return to an investor is the same as the cost to the firm, the cost to the company. Now, cost of capital, why is it important? Cost of capital provides an indication of how the market views the risk of a company's assets.
It provides
An indication of how the market views the risk of a company's assets. Another point why cost of capital is important is that Knowing the cost of capital can also help the firm, can also help the company, the firm, to determine what is required rate of return should be.
Knowing the cost of
Determine
budget can also help.
the company or the firm. I'm using the word company or firm interchangeable. Yeah. It helps the firm to determine the required rate of return for projects. Right? It's required return. I just said it. I'm trying to summarize
Yes.
why cost of capital is important. In my background, I've been discussing the same. Why capital, knowing capital, cost of capital, why it is important to know is that the company will now know, once you know the cost of capital, it helps you to refuse or accept certain projects because their rate of return is not gonna help you. You now know it's costing you so much. So for example, let me give you an example. Supposing it costs you 10% interest on borrowed funds. The rate of interest on your loan is 10%. Now, you go into a project with those monies you have obtained. It's costing you 10% in interest rates. You look at a project, maybe you're a farming company, and now you borrow this money to open up a poultry branch in your farming company. And so you are doing capital budget. You want to see what kind of equipment you have, what kind of machinery you have, and what physical structures you want to set up. And then you have to buy the chickens, feed the chickens, and whatever, whether it's for meat or for eggs, you start calculating the rate of return on that poultry project. And the rate of return tells you that you get a rate of return of 8%. And yet the source of funds are costing you 10% in interest. Are you being wise to go for that? No. So it helps you to determine what rate of return you accept. If that is what you get at the end of your analysis, just know that you end up bankrupt. You will not be able to service your loan and get some profit. And if you can't service your loan, your assets will be up for grabs. So knowing the cost of capital helps the company to determine the required rate of return on those capital budgeting projects. Okay? So that's why it is important to know. Now, if we want to go on some specifics, let's look at cost of equity capital. Cost of equity capital. The cost of equity capital is the expected rate of return demanded by investors in the firm's common stock by investors, shareholders. We're talking of cost of equity capital in the firm's common stock. Remember, we discussed the sources of funds in the equity financing area, and those where we listed them as common stock, preferred stock, right? Return earnings and surpluses. That's what we said. So the expected rate of return demanded by investors in the common stock, that represents equity, cost of equity capital. It is the return a company requires to decide if an investment meets capital returns requirement. Why are we saying this? Remember, we said the cost of capital to the investor is the same as cost.
You said it is a return that determines the company.
It is the return the capital requires, the company requires, to decide if an investment meets capital returns requirements, capital return requirements. Okay? So as you can see, the first sentence was referring to the investor. The second statement is referring to the company. So you see how we have been flowing in our discussion so that you don't get lost. So you can see here that there are two separate concepts here, but it depends on which party is involved. Are you talking about the investor or are you talking about the company? Okay? That should be very clear in your mind. Okay? But it still represents the cost of capital.
The second statement about the firm
I don't know what you mean by the theme.
Okay, you're talking about the statement about the cost of
I said
there are two.
for the investor, the expected rate of return is in the firm's common stock. That expected rate of return is what is the cost of it. For the company, it looks at whether an investment meets capital returns that are required. So in the form of a sentence, what I said was, it is the return a company requires to decide if an investment meets capital return requirements. And it uses that to determine what kind of capital budgeting projects to go. What threshold would be acceptable Does it mean the required rate of return? That's what that second sentence is trying to say. So for the investor, cost of equity is the rate of return required on an investment in equity. Okay? For the investor, cost of equity is the rate of return required on an investment in equity. You know what equity is? This
Okay,
is it because you don't understand what equity means?
You don't understand what
You do. Okay? Excellent. Excellent. If you understand, excellent. I'm trying to emphasize and to make sure that these ideas sink in. Okay? What I'm saying now has already been said. Trying to put it into more emphasis. Okay? I was saying before this that it depends, it has two separate concepts depending on the party involved. The party involved here means you have the company, you have the investors, whatever, shareholders, and the company. So we have these separate concepts depending on who you are, which party is involved. We are talking about the cost of capital, right? That we agree, right? For the investor, the cost of equity, the cost of buying shares, I mean, you going and buying shares, the cost of equity is the rate of return required on that investment in equity, right? Because the moment you are leaving home to go and buy shares, you are investing in equity, right? Is it just the terms which are confusing? When you are buying shares, you are investing in equity, right? What is an investment? When you are investing something, you are spending something on it. You are taking something, your resources, right? Investing.
That's investment.
Whether investment doesn't only mean that you are opening a company and running it. You can invest in just buying somebody's company. Just being part of somebody's company and say, okay. Oh, remember when we talked about how these businesses are financed, those forms of businesses, how they are financed, the sole proprietors, partnerships, okay, the angel investors and all that, okay? The angel investors, they don't just invest. The venture capitalists, they don't just invest. They get some portion of your company, of the company. They get some ownership. Okay? So to the investor, the cost of equity is the return required. What you expect by investing in equity. Because we're talking about equity capital. For the company, so that's the second view. It depends on where you are. For the company, the cost of equity is used. That cost is used to determine the required rate of return on particular projects or investment. Okay? Maybe as these things present as I presented them, once you start thinking about them, sometimes you'll be in your bathroom and having a bath, lying in there in hot water, you will start, it starts sinking in. Sometimes it doesn't sink in at the same time as you hear it, right? Or maybe when you are relaxing somewhere or just walking, sometimes walking. This thing might be in your brain being processed. It might get clear now. But is there any question? Should I, is it clear or somewhere it's not clear you want me to repeat? Where you are not sure, can you ask me to repeat? Just as a recap on equity, we said companies raise equity financing directly. For example, they issue new shares of common stock. Sometimes they do it indirectly. Where there is equity finance, either you go directly issue shares or you reinvest earnings not paid out as dividends, or you use retained earnings. So whatever way, whatever method you use, remember, we are not talking about just setting up a company. We are expanding it. We are also talking about a company that is already existing. And maybe it would be using retained profits, those monies that have not been distributed as dividends. They are investing those earnings. Now, it's similar to the example I gave you about a farming company. Okay? Now, supposing the year of the company ended in January. It ends, this financial year or this particular company ends on 31st January. That's when the financial year ends. Now, by this month, February, they are supposed to declare what profits they have made, what dividends they will pay out, but they have decided to keep this deficit to grow the company. Okay? To expand the company. The shareholders have agreed that we are not getting anything out as dividends. We should use all these earnings, these profits, to expand the business. Now, the general manager, the CEO, and his finance team have to use these monies to improve the value of the company, to make sure that it earns enough money. Okay? So these decisions that they have to make has to do with whether the projects that they are going into will give them more than what it costs them. Okay? Equity capital was the company. And they are to use that cost to determine what kind of investment expansion they need to do. Okay. I've already told you that the cost to the investor is the expected rate of return. And for the company, they will use that cost to determine what kind of projects to issue. They have to be projects that more than meets the cost of capital. The capital that they are using. So let's find how they calculate. So there are two common methods of determining the cost of equity. The cost of equity capital. One is called dividend growth model. Dividend growth model. The other one is called capital asset pricing. Capital asset pricing model. Capital asset pricing model. CAPM. So the first one, dividend growth model, sometimes referred to as DCF, aka DCF, and the capital asset pricing model, aka CAPM. So under the capital asset pricing, that's the one we will start with. Capital asset pricing model, aka CAPM. Capital asset pricing. So, for example, let's assume we have RE as this rate. This is equal to this rate. Let's assume this rate is represented by RE. And RM let me edit this one. Instead of RES, let's use F. RF. To denote this free. RF. So that it doesn't confuse us. Huh? And yeah, RF. So what about if we also have RM? RM being the expected return on the market. Expected return on the market. RM, expected return on market. So, if we have expected return on the market and the risk-free rate, if we say RM minus RF, what we get? We get market risk premium. If we subtract RM with RF, or subtract RF from RM, in other words, market risk premium. Okay? And let us introduce what is called a systematic risk or a beta. Systematic risk or beta. Beta E. This is a company systematic risk. A company systematic risk. Or films. I should explain here why these terms here we are trying to introduce are important and we should. I should give you an example. When you go and borrow money from the bank, they will have what they call base rate of interest that you are supposed to pay. So this will be the premium rate. Now, for each customer, they will evaluate what risks you pose. So if you went to go and buy, so if you went to go and borrow money from Standard Bank, for example, or National Bank, you go there and there will be a basic rate that they will indicate to you as interest rate. But on that, they will calculate the risks of each borrower. Each borrower. So the base rate will be 21. If you present no risk at all to the bank, they will charge you this one. This is just the basic rate and it's equal to the premium rate in that sense. Now, you might be a customer who has no collateral, you don't have a stable job. There are so many challenges with you, but you have a good business idea you want to borrow money, for example. It will not even create any physical assets which they can use as collateral. Nothing. Maybe it's just a trading business that we have come up with. Yes.
So, wasn't that.
Okay? So, they will want to cover themselves from losing that money with you. So they will calculate, for example, each customer has got a risk premium. So they might say for you, they will add another 3% on top of this base rate, and you end up paying 24. Another customer, they will say, according to the way we have evaluated this person, there is a risk of premium risk of 1% that we should add. So this guy, this other one, they'll just maybe add 1, and he'll be paying 22. That's how it works. So this premium, they are meant to cover them. So for any capital, you have to calculate the risk and add on to the cost structure of that particular. Okay? That's why you see the risk free, the expected return in the market risk premium, and the company. So market, when we say market, we are talking about all the players in that particular market. So it could be what kind of industry can we give an example? Maybe you are in the farming agriculture industry. What are the market risks in agriculture? Okay? And then you are the company or whatever. You also have a company risk. There is a market risk, there is individual company risk. Okay? So this concept should be clear when we're coming up with how to measure the impact. So, how do we express this in terms of a formula? How can we express all this in terms of a formula? What would be expected rate of return on your stock, on your shares? Your expected rate of return on your shares, your RE, your expected rate of return on your stock. Imagine, this is expected, it's not actual. That's why I always work it. All along, I've been saying expected rate of return. Because at the end of the day, what you expect does not occur. That's why investors, for example, those who go and buy stock, they expect that they will make money. They will get some dividend, for example, in stocks. But as you can see, sometimes a decision is made that, these monies will be reinvested. Or a decision is made that the company didn't make any money. Okay? And the risk, what we discussed in the formation of companies, the risks in terms of corporations where you have invested money, you only lose what you have invested, that's all. Unlike the other forms of companies, for example, the sole proprietors and the like, where the risk is not just the money you have invested, it's even the money that you kept somewhere else can be taken out. So expected rate of return on your stock will be equal to.
The 2 years you value. The RE which should be changed.
Yeah, we changed.
For a good return expected.
This is now return expected. The expected return now. It's not the risk-free
The
rate.
expected return on the market is RE. So that rate expected return is it for company or what? No, expected return on the market is RM. RE.
You
It's
can
not the
say
same.
they are what?
They are not the same.
They're not the same. Okay, so the thing is you didn't give us that thing. RE,
That's what we're trying to calculate. How would I give you when I don't know what it is? That's what we're trying to calculate now.
Okay, who says these are relations, like,
These are variables.
variables? Those
yes, the
variables.
variables,
Like,
when you give us that variable, that's why I was kind of confused.
I see.
This is a dependent, excuse me,
Yes.
dependent variable is always, usually it's just one dependent variable. And you have so many independent variables. Independent variables are the things that occur independently. And I was explaining what things occur independently in the equitative market. I have explained. Now we want to see how the dependent variable, such as expected return, will be calculated.
Okay.
Can you show this that RE is expected return?
Yeah.
Not those market, but just expected return.
On equity capital. And you insist that I didn't tell you that before. It's what we're trying to calculate. So how would I have told you before?
Okay, so I'll get it.
Yeah. So the expected rate of return on stock, this is using the capital asset pricing model. Okay? Using the capital asset pricing model, this is what we are looking at. So the expected rate of return on your stock, on equity, on stock, using this ways interchangeably, derivative, it will be RF. Remember the example I gave you when you go and borrow at the bank? So it will be RF,
Risk free rate.
base rate, okay? Plus
That's what. Company's risk.
no, company's risk is like a coefficient. A company's risk is associated with the market risk. Okay? So we will say B beta E
So beta E is equal to company's risk.
That's
can you look quiet if you don't know anything you can ask calculate.
No.
Okay?
Okay.
Look at the equation, how it looks like. Rm minus Rf so what are we saying? Rm minus Rf is what?
Market risk premium.
Okay?
It doesn't have a medicine.
So what we are saying is Rf
Risk free rate.
plus
Beta.
Minus
Mfumo kada wa company's risk.
okay?
Yes.
You can say this price, this times this, why? This market risk return and the company risk will give you the risk, the total risk involved. Okay? it will give you the total risk involved, which was when I was giving you the example of a bank, there was 21 plus what? This. Okay?
So on the formula, in short, we can say equity capital is equal to RA multiplied by RA.
So it's very simple, right? It's very simple.
Yeah, very simple.
So can you do an example? Have your phones ready. I want you to calculate something for me. I want you to calculate yes, the expected return. So supposing the company risks is 0.58. It has to be less than 1.
0.58, okay?
And the current risk rate is 6%. Okay? And the expected return on the market is 15%.
10%.
So what is the cost of equity? RE.
So there are 6%. The other one is 6.
6% is the current risk-free rate. The expected return on the market is 15%. And the company risk is 0.58. Okay, what you get? What you get? What is this company's cost of equity capital?
But minus 15
minus 6.
Can I call you in 15 minutes? You are asked to
Zoom in.
You should get an answer which is between 10 and 11. Around 10 and 11%.
It's 11.22.
Yeah, fine. That's what you should get.
Everyone will pay by university contributions. 15% minus 6%. No one will pay by. Sorry,
This one.
You know, what? Hey, calculate what is in brackets first.
Yeah.
Hey, once you calculate what is in the brackets, multiply it by beta E. And then you add. That's what the law of Boltzmann says. Okay? So you get about 12%, right?
11.22%.
Yeah, 11.2%. Can you calculate the market risk premium? What is the market risk premium in this equation, in the example I've given you? Market risk premium.
It's 9%. It's 9%.
Yes.